Welcome back to the 5-Star Weekend Official Podcast. I'm your host, Elin Hilderbrand. Today, we're talking about the season finale entitled Monday Morning Departures. First, director Jennifer Morrison is back to talk about the season finale and the power that a long weekend with friends can have. Then, I'll answer one last question from you in Book Talk, presented by On the Rocks, bartender-created cocktails. And finally, I will be joined by our final star, the magnificent Regina Hall, who plays Dru-Ann, to talk about her character's journey. Let's get into our main event, my conversation with director Jennifer Morrison. Jennifer, thank you for coming back on the podcast to discuss the finale. You did a fantastic job directing it, so I'm so excited to dig in.
Thanks, me too.
Do you remember your reaction to reading the first finale script?
Oh, I was so emotional by the time I think by the time I got to 7, when she loses it in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I was sobbing reading the scripts because I also, when I first read the scripts, I read all 8 together, like all the way through, like binge read them basically. And I was like ugly crying by the time, because I just could feel all this pent up pain, and it felt so earned by the time that she destroys the kitchen. And so then that moment really tips us into a new place with her and also with all the women.
Right.
And so it was so beautiful to enter that space with them in 8 and really sort of reestablish what their connection was, have their connection have evolved, and see that in all their performances.
Yeah.
And also know that there was so much grief that had to be handled, but now it was out in the open in a new way. And there was sort of this healing that was starting to happen. And so it was really interesting to start to find that nuance in their connections and the way they were interacting with each other. And I think that that really impacted even the way that I decided to put the camera and how I wanted to shoot it. You know, it was like really finding that intimacy with them.
Right. Can you talk about the scene with Gigi and Hollis in the pantry?
I am going to forgive you, Gigi. I don't want this anger in my life. I don't want to set this example for my daughter. I made farewell toffee for everyone. It has cardamom in it.
Oh my gosh. Gigi and Hollis in the pantry. It's such a complicated moment. It's such a complicated moment because there are a million reasons for Hollis to be so upset and so hurt and so furious with this woman. And yet this woman has won her over throughout all this time that they've spent together, and they do have their grief in common. So it's like they weirdly have more in common than anyone else, but also every reason in the world to never talk ever again.
Right.
And so it was really fascinating to walk it out. And we definitely had many options in there. We really had to play around with where that was going to land. We went everywhere from incredibly emotional to incredibly furious to somewhere in between and trying to balance and tread the line of the two things, to trying to find the most generous version of Hollis, trying to find that forgiveness for her.
Right.
And so, you know, it was a little bit of a guessing game and making sure that we had all those options, knowing that until we really got there in the edit, we weren't going to know for sure which version was going to feel exactly right. And ultimately, it was a little bit of all of it.
It was
because it's a really complex moment between these two women.
Yeah.
And it felt really important that Hollis does choose to forgive her, even if she doesn't feel that forgiveness yet. I thought that was such a beautiful moment. But it also feels beautiful that Gigi finally realizes why she was there.
Yeah.
You know, it's like she was compelled to do this thing that kind of looks nuts from the outside.
Right.
And you get to this point where you go, oh, how human.
Yeah.
How human that she felt compelled to just be drawn to the one woman who might understand her in this moment.
Feels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's not clean. It's not tidy. It's messy. We're messy as people.
It has to be.
Yeah.
I mean, it could not be one thing or the other. I mean, I'm trying to say, you know, Gigi, of course, is also missing Matthew. Hollis just would not care. Like,
of course not.
Or like any other person, like, would not care that she lost someone too. Well, he's not really yours to lose, so you're not allowed to feel that way.
Yeah.
But I feel like Hollis is such a good person and is, I mean, she almost got there, I think, with understanding, okay, Gigi is here.
Yeah.
Because she wants to know.
Yeah.
more about and also sort of understand what she was walking into.
Well, and grief doesn't make sense, right? Grief never makes sense.
Yeah.
And so it's a tricky emotion to show manifested on the screen or on the page, I think, because you can't lay it out in a linear way and say, this is how grief works.
Right.
There's not a way it works.
Right. And the viewer doesn't want us to, because every single person who watches the show is going to have lost somebody, and every single person is going to have dealt with it differently.
Yeah.
So one of the signature scenes at the end is the throwing the protein powder into the water.
Yes.
Now, you guys were at my very favorite beach on Nantucket. I'm not even going to say it out loud on this podcast because I do not want anyone else to go there. But it is 100%, it's only open in August and September.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yes. You do the throwing of the protein powder. And what did this symbolize for you? What was the meaning of this scene for you?
I think for Hollis, she kept bumping into these reminders of him, you know, and it was a reminder of him that was connected to this tough moment, you know, where you see her, he's making the shake in the morning and he isn't listening to her.
Right.
He's not hearing her.
And he's not eating her food.
Yeah, he's not connecting with her. Yes, exactly.
Right? He's having protein. I mean, she's making all this gorgeous food and he's eating protein. That's what made me so sad.
And so it symbolizes something that's been, you know, weirdly an obstacle for them, you know, or it represents the bigger obstacles that have been between them emotionally for the many years. And so I think as she bumps into it over and over again, it kind of builds up and builds up and builds up. And it's this reminder of his presence in that house of like, you know, if she's going to be able to move past this and be able to process her grief, she's going to need to release him in some way. And it became a tangible way for her to do that.
Yeah.
And so how amazing, though, that she had her friends
to help her.
Yeah, exactly. To be there with her and to just experience the catharsis of letting that go.
Yeah.
And feeling like there was hope to move past it. And, you know, she's always going to carry that loss with her in some way.
Of course.
But it felt like, oh, there's hope. There's hope that I can turn a new chapter. I can start fresh. Maybe someone will love my food instead of eating a protein shake. I mean, I'm making light of it slightly, but you know, those things are meaningful.
The moment does have that funny ending, right? Because it does look like ashes. And so then the policeman shows up and he says, whoa, you're not allowed to throw human remains into the ocean. And they're like, oh no, it's protein powder.
It's a really good brand. It's really subtle. Blends with everything. Don't waste it on the fish.
I've got like 3 boxes back at the house. Do you want them?
I can't accept bribes, ma'am.
Okay.
Drop it behind the station anytime after 8 p.m. Enjoy your day.
It is like also a moment of joy and release and catharsis. And it's like, okay, oh, it was such a great scene. But
it's
like
really hopeful, you know, like it's that thing of reaching for the new thing. It doesn't change the past. It doesn't erase the past. But I think it's important always in life when we're letting something go that you have to feel that there's the hope you can reach for the new thing. And the unknown can be so exciting. And it was so invigorating to me to watch these 4 women that I'd come to care about so much reach together.
Right.
You know, like that felt really nice.
And the last thing I want to ask about is the final scene with Hollis and Jack.
Yes.
So tell me about the vibe. First of all, their chemistry was incredible.
Yes.
I thought Timothy Olyphant nailed this part like beyond.
100%.
I've seen him in a million things. I love him best of all as Jack. I just thought, oh my God, like a little snarky, a little sarcastic. But so incredibly heartfelt and so sensitive. I mean, he hit all the notes, right? So talk to me about the very last scene with them on the beach.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it felt like a lot of pressure. You know, it was praying for a sunset. We only had one chance to do it. We had no idea what the sky was going to do that day. We had drones working that day. Trying to get a whole crew out on a beach is not an easy feat.
I'm sure it wasn't because I know where it is.
Dragging all the equipment out there and gatoring it out and, you know, making sure you don't get stuck in the sand and then you don't want to have tracks in the sand in the direction you're shooting and, you know, all the things no one thinks of. So there were a lot of logistics that went into it, but it was also trying to find that sweet spot where we wanted to feel like, yes, they have had this moment of reconnection and they have so much history, but it's complicated. It's still complicated.
Yeah.
We didn't want it to feel like, oh, we're going to go get married tomorrow. You know, it was, we wanted to feel like, oh, we're adults now.
Right.
We could really look at each other and accept maybe all of each other.
Right.
And maybe that means we'll be together. Maybe that means we'll be incredible friends. Maybe that means we're going to get each other through this. You know, like we wanted to keep, at least from our side of it, I'd be curious to hear how you felt like writing the end of the book, but like we wanted to sort of keep that open for the audience to decide how far this was going to go and how much it might mean, but to know that the connection was real.
Right.
And to know that the healing that was happening was very real
Right.
and that they were going to be a part of that with each other.
Right. I think in the book they have their moment at the very end, and then, but they don't get together because I didn't want, you know, an easy, oh, and now she's moved on, you know, ending. And so then you jump, and the very ending of the book is 1 year later, and they are together.
Right, that's right.
And that gives them a little bit of time and space to get it done.
Yeah.
But I feel like our viewers want, you know, to know what's happening now.
Yeah, I also feel like that would be a very complicated relationship in a lovely way.
Yeah.
You know, like people don't write often, I think, about relationships that work.
Yeah.
You know, everyone writes about what breaks up and fails. And it's like, when people stay, that's also hard.
Yeah.
You know, it's messy. There's highs, there's lows.
Sure.
There's one person growing while the other person isn't. The next person growing while the other person isn't. Someone going through a really hard time at the same time as the other one. And how do you get each other through that? And it feels like because they have so much history that there could be that much complexity to the way that they could be together in the future. At least to me. Maybe that's how I'm projecting their future.
I definitely agree. The fact, like, when you grow up, I don't even know how to say this, but when you grow up with someone, like I had a boyfriend in high school like Jack, and I know him so well. I haven't seen him in years, but we talk every once in a while, and I always feel so good when he reaches out to me because it proves that, you know, I felt like that high school relationship of mine, which was so important to me in high school, that it has lasted at least into friendship 40 years later.
Yeah.
That just, I mean, it's like it's a knowing someone, you know, knowing them when they were young means you know them forever in some sense.
Yeah, knowing that so few people would have known that part of you, you know, that they know the version of you that grew from that.
Yeah.
But he knew you before all the growing happened.
Sure.
And that's fascinating.
Yeah, and there's some sense in which, you know, your essence is sort of developed when you're 16, 17 years old.
Oh, yeah.
So it was very, very special for Jack and Holly. And okay, final question. All of the stars change so much over the course of this show. What is it about a weekend trip that makes that happen? I mean, tell me what you think.
You know, it was so tricky because we kept being like, oh my gosh, that was yesterday. You know, like,
I know, it was yesterday.
We'd be like 4 episodes later and be like, yeah, that was yesterday. I would do a thing where I came on set and I'd be like, I'm just going to orient us.
Right.
And I'd be like,
okay,
this happened and this happened and then this happened and this happened and you went here and you went there. And they'd be like, man, we've had a day.
Yeah.
You know? And so we kept doing these like little orientations of like where we were in space and time because it was so compact.
Yeah.
You know, it was easy to think, oh, that was weeks ago. And it was like, no, that was 6 hours ago, actually, you know? And I think part of it is just we are so busy and we are so spread thin doing our jobs and our families and all the things. And it's easy for time to sort of slip away when that's happening. But when you put the phone down and you put life down for a second and you have this concentrated amount of time, 24 hours suddenly leaves a lot of room for things to happen.
Yeah, you're right.
And so they were really talking to each other. They were really dealing with each other. They were not on their phones their whole time. You know, they were not in front of a screen. They were not, you know, distracted with something. They were actually dealing with each other.
Yeah.
And so 72 hours of actually being with people. Yeah. It's amazing how much can happen. Yeah. You know, and so, and also outside of your comfort zone, someplace that's new, someplace that's different. I just think time feels different. I've spent a lot of time working out of town. And, you know, especially when I was living in Vancouver for a long time, I would come back here for like 36 hours. And those 36 hours could feel like a week.
Sure.
And it was just leaving the environment of busy and intense and going someplace where I was around the people I loved. I was moving at a different pace. And my entire intention was to be present with the people that I was missing. And that time expanded because of that. So I think sometimes, I don't know, I feel like when you can really sit in love with people, like time expands.
Yeah. And that's what they do. And we get to sit with them, which is so amazing.
Yeah.
Finally, I want us to play a rapid fire game. I want to know what your ideal 5-star weekend would be like. So I'm going to ask you 5 questions.
Oh, this is so much pressure.
It's going to be so easy.
Okay.
We're going to play a rapid fire game. I'm going to give you 5 questions about your ideal 5-star weekend.
Oh boy.
Here we go. What do you want for your Monday morning breakfast? Extra runny eggs or morning buns from Wicked Island?
Oh, morning buns for sure.
Morning buns, for sure. Hear that, Wicked Island? Travel by ferry or puddle jump airplane?
Ferry.
Me too. Ferry also.
Ferry every time.
Nantucket or Greece? And it's okay. You can say Greece if you want Greece.
No, I'm going to say Nantucket.
I'm going to say Nantucket.
I'm going to say Nantucket.
I'm going to say Nantucket. But Greece would also be nice.
Greece is beautiful, but I don't know it the same way. There's something about having a little bit of an in of like knowing the island now that I'm like, I would know where to go. I would know where to shop. I would know where to eat. I'm very excited about that.
Do you want to be the first to depart or the last to depart?
Ooh, that's interesting.
If you're the first to depart, people talk about you, JMO. That's the one thing I'm going to say.
Yeah, maybe the middle, somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, be in the middle. Okay,
be the third to
maybe the
depart.
second to last, right? And what book from the bookshelf of Jennifer Morrison would you bring with you?
Ooh, that's a great question. I would probably bring, right now I would definitely bring The Underneath by Melanie Finn.
Okay.
Because I've been adapting it.
Oh.
And so my life has been about adapting that book. So I feel like right now, everywhere I go is where that book goes with me.
Okay.
So,
The Underneath by Melanie Finn.
Yeah.
I'm going to read it.
it's very good. She's an incredible writer. I think you'd like her writing.
I'm gonna read it. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
us.
Thanks for writing an incredible book for us.
It's time for Book Talk, presented by On the Rocks. It has been so much fun to hear from you and try out all these fantastic cocktails from On the Rocks. Today, I've got my sparkling lime margarita. Margarita in a can, what's not to love? Now I'm ready to answer one final question. Let's see who we've got.
Hi everyone, my name is Marissa. I'm from Westchester, Pennsylvania. Being from the greater Philadelphia area, we are super proud to call Ellen one of our locals. In the 5-star weekend, we see that Hollis goes on this 5-star weekend or plans it for some self-discovery and some self-healing. But what else do you think that she got out of it that she never knew that she was searching for or looking for? Thank you.
Hi, that is such a wonderful question, and I am from the greater Philadelphia area. Go Birds. I think that one of the things that Hollis leaves the weekend with, in addition to sort of starting on her path of healing, is a greater appreciation for her work-life balance. I think she realizes that she has poured so much into Hungry with Hollis that she neglected the relationships that were most important to her, namely the one with her husband and the one with her daughter, Caroline. And I feel like some of the other stars might have picked up some appreciation for work-life balance as well. I'm looking at you, Dru-Ann. Thank you so much for this excellent question. And thanks to each and every one of you for your great questions over this entire season. We still have so much to discuss. Next up is my conversation with Regina Hall. Hi, Regina.
Hi, Ellen. I'm so excited to be here.
I am so excited. Thank you so much for doing this.
No, I'm excited. Thank you for having me.
Let's get into it.
Okay.
So do you remember I first met you at the table read?
Absolutely.
And we were in the van driving around looking at the sets.
Yes.
But I immediately knew you were so perfect for Dru-Ann. So as Dru-Ann, you are Hollis's best friend from college.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you're the college friend. And I love the line, we get it. You guys went to college together. When you gave the 2025 commencement speech at Fordham, which is your alma mater,
Yes.
you mentioned that your college best friends were there.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about what was special about those college friendships and what those people mean to you?
Oh my goodness. So there was like a group of us, and there were my two best friends in college, Gina and Vanessa. And they're a part of such a specific and formative part of your life. You know, it's that beginning of adulthood, but you're still not an adult, but it's that kind of first forge into the world without your parents. And so they become like a family. You all are clinging to each other, having probably some of the best and worst experiences in life that you're learning how to navigate with your friends. So having them there, when I remember where we lived and the things we did on that campus and the amount of laughter and tears, because the tears seem funny in retrospect. I was like, wait, who were we crying over? They're gross. You know what I mean? Like whatever it is. And so having them and some great guy friends there too, just having them there.
Yeah.
It made it such a celebratory moment, really.
Oh my gosh. And they all came to support you. I love that so much.
Yeah.
So this show is about female friendships.
Mm-hmm.
So important.
So important.
And I loved seeing Dru-Ann, Brooke, and Tatum become friends separate from Hollis. Okay. Can you talk about that process? And if I'm not wrong, the three of you didn't really know each other. You and Darcy and Chloë didn't know each other when you started, right?
No, I literally met everyone at our table read. That was the first day. And then, which was nice, you know what I mean? Meeting everyone, but you're still strangers. And I think what was beautiful about when we shot the show is that we became friends during the course of of shooting those months, which was actually really genuine and really wonderful. And in some ways more surprising because you kind of start to like love the people you're working with. And then, and then in the beginning, although we did not have the history that Tatum and Dru-Ann had, there is still something great about having us not knowing each other because we had the distance, and then actually becoming friends. And so that by the time we were like shooting a lot of like amazing, like going out scenes and in Nantucket, by then there was like a really beautiful bond that had formed.
So it's almost like it mirrored the experience that you were having on
for sure
set. I mean, what you were doing on set mirrored what was happening in the show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then in the finale, episode 8, we see Dru-Ann and Brooke on the ferry. They're going home and their friendship has solidified. So let's watch that scene.
I think I'm gonna quit my job.
What?
Yeah. I think I'm gonna start my own agency. And I'm gonna really need the support of my friends.
Wait, are you kind of saying that we're friends?
Well, yeah. You did? Well, after what we survived this weekend.
Can I get your number now?
All right, just slow down.
That's too fast. Okay, so there's a line. I
Yeah.
see. Okay. Kaka.
So Regina, how did you feel about that scene of bonding with Brooke, and what did that scene mean to you?
Well, it's sweet because we're leaving the island and going back to our lives, right? And I think Dru-Ann with a little more softness and Brooke with a little more strength.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a balance that they've kind of gotten from each other. And you feel like it's the beginning of something, for them, for their own lives.
Oh, because Dru-Ann takes a little bit of Brooke's softness, and Brooke has definitely got some moxie by the end, which is wonderful.
Oh yeah, she put that green shirt on, and she was never the same, right?
That's my favorite, like my second favorite. My second favorite line of yours is, "Well, your shirt wants to go out." I love that line. I love it. Okay, so I want to shift and talk about Dru-Ann at work. So ultimately, Dru-Ann is a career woman.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I wrote her as a sports agent because I am an enormous sports fan. Okay. And I wanted Dru-Ann to be like a badass in a male-dominated industry.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
How much did you research the area of sports agency, if at all? And did you have anyone in mind who influenced you when you were doing your performance?
You know what? I did. And it is so male-dominated. And I was actually because she was an athlete. So I think I looked at people who had been athletes before and kind of made that transition, because I felt like so much of Dru-Ann's core was she was excited about what she was doing, but also knew the strength and the pain and the discipline that being an athlete caused, which is also why she was a little more abrasive and less sympathetic at times, because she's like, I've walked these waters and we're not going to get here with you being, and she kind of knew the truth. I'm sure she had been through all of it. So I think with her, it was like the agenting part was just the second part of it, but I felt like at her core, she was still an athlete. That part of her transition was, how do I turn into an agent that thinking about what my client needs and not like about what the team needs. And I think she still was like, the team needs this. And she had to kind of go into, and then my client is an individual outside of the sport.
Oh my gosh, that is so brilliant. What a brilliant take. I love that. And there are parallels, I would assume, in the film and TV world, right? So are film sets often male dominated, or have you been on sets that have a lot of men?
Yeah, especially in certain positions, especially when you're looking at camera and DP and directors, you will see a lot of women, obviously, maybe in hair and makeup departments where you might expect, the traditional, roles. But yeah, no. And I'm starting, and so like being on, and the producers behind the camera. So on 5 Star specifically, and even the leads in show, we had, Jen, at the helm. We had our producers, we had our showrunner, we had our directors. They were all women.
Oh my gosh. So how did that change your filming experience?
Well, it's certainly different. You know what I mean? It's certainly different. I mean, it's like in the most subtle ways. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just a different way of communicating and problem solving. It's just different. But it was really also perfect for this show, you know, and I think all of that sensibility kind of lent itself to the world where all these women are pretty amazing and dynamic. I mean, you know what I mean? Right. I mean, every single one of them, just in different ways and different perspectives, whatever they led with, of whatever feminine powers they led with, it was it was wonderful. And I just think that all the women writing it, being the source, every single part of it just lent itself to this kind of female collective that, that is 5 Star.
Okay, so I want to move on to your relationship with Posey. And I am absolutely obsessed with this relationship and with the way Dru-Ann's response to Posey gets her in so much trouble. Let's dig in here about the generational differences. So you are younger than I am. I am turning 57. You're a little bit younger, but you still identify as Gen X. Can you talk about your experience with like Gen Z colleagues? Do you see a difference in work ethic? And how do you, what's your take?
I think that the access for them is so different, right? And so everything probably, even like when you do homework now, right? You can Google it. Like, we probably had to go to libraries. You had to go and get microfiche. You had, I mean, it was.
You had to go to the Encyclopedia Britannica.
You had to go to the encyclopedia, right? And so there was a lot of effort, and so because of that, understanding the work ethic, there was a lot of like generational respect that we had to have, and then a respect for that work ethic, for, you know what I mean? And so things are very accessible now. And so as a result, the viewpoint, the perspective is different. And so for Posey, she's not quite grasping the opportunity is now. Now that happens with every generation, right? Because what's that Billy Graham quote? What is the most important thing that he wished he could get across to the youth? And he said the brevity of life. Right. So, she's like, your body will not always be young. You will not always have this moment. Well, and I'm sure for Dru-Ann, she's like, but there'll be another guy. This is it. This probably isn't even the guy. And so I think it's trying to get a generation to understand the importance of your word and work and work ethic and feeling empowered and yet not entitled.
And showing, you have to show up. I say to my kids all the time, like, you have to grind. You have to show up. Things do not come easily. And the things that do come easily are not the things that are going to last or that are going to make you
and the
happy.
Amount of character that it builds within you, right?
Right.
Because then there's the stuff you gain from it, but then it sculpts who you are. So it's like you're literally pouring into yourself when you do that. And I think that's what she's she's not so eloquent in explaining it, but that's what she wants Posey to understand. But it's, but she's not from a generation where they have to think about how to put it. They're just like, this is what it is. And this is
exactly
what,
And she wants Posey to show up, not for her, but but Posey to show up for herself.
Yes.
And Posey is just sort of taking a pass and, following her love life, whatever. But it is so, I love that relationship. And I love the way Dru-Ann deals with her. And I also love the way that Dru-Ann handles being canceled, because I would probably be in tears, but she's very matter-of-fact about it, and she does not, even want to apologize. Because she feels like
she's right. She's like,
she's right.
I'm right.
Yeah.
And of course she does end up being right, but I think she's like, I am not gonna, like, also, I think we've seen in cancel culture too, where sometimes things pass. So I think Dru-Ann is like, I've seen this. I've had it with clients. It'll pass. It'll be gone in 10 minutes. And she can't quite grasp the gravity of the situation to know you could get fired before it passes. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I think that she's like, but I'm not wrong. I think for her, the black and white is, am I wrong or am I right? But she can't, and then but that's where that's where these new friendships, I really feel like, help her grow and have a little bit more compassion for, and realize that, Posey's not her as well, but she's still like, you gave your word. She doesn't change. She's like, and you lied. And you lied.
Yeah, exactly. And this brings us to our final question, which is, I am so inspired by Dru-Ann's evolution throughout the weekend, not only with her friendships with the other stars, but with her relationship between her and work and success. So you work all the time, Regina. I've never known anyone to work as much as you do. What have you learned anything from Dru-Ann, and what is your own personal relationship between your work and personal life?
Right. Yeah. You know what? It's interesting though, because the one thing that I did love that you wrote about Dru-Ann that seems it is, because there's more that goes on in the book for those who haven't.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah.
She is fulfilled in her work.
Right.
And I loved that she's fulfilled. I'm fulfilled in my work. There's always a point in life where things you have to be like, okay, things are getting out of balance. And you kind of have to be like, all right, I'm starting to feel this. And you have to feel that center within yourself is not, it's not quite balanced. And so, but I felt like Dru-Ann is very happy and great at what she does and satisfied. And I loved seeing that in a character. I love that for me. I love that as an example for women. But the question always becomes, is it balanced, right, for her? Which there's more to come in life, right? Because this season it was balanced. I feel like that in my own life. Sometimes I feel like I'm balanced here and not enough here. I need more family time or more personal time. But then I love my work. So, I always feel like there's always a bit of one, that's suffering at one time or another, but you kind of recalibrate.
Right.
And you usually give like, okay, I'm going to give a little bit more here and I'm going to stop here. But, I think that's always a constant, constant recalibration in life.
Yeah.
No, I mean, do you feel that?
I do, because I get overwhelmed, and I have 4 kids, and it has always been, for me, it's always been between working and traveling for work and then being at home for the kids and being there for the kids. And there is a quote somewhere that working moms, when they're at work, they want to be at home, and when they're at home, they feel like they need to be at work. And that's always been for me just the duality. But I love Dru-Ann. As I'm sitting here thinking about Dru-Ann, she is the most secure of the 5 of them. And it's because she is, what you're saying, so confident and satisfied with her work life, right? Mm-hmm. If we took a deeper look into like her private life or her romantic life, we might find something else, and maybe that's down the road, right? But in this show, I think her work life has really given her like an excellent sense of self-awareness and security. And I love that. I love that for Dru-Ann.
I do. I love that too. Yeah.
She's wise.
Yeah. Yeah, she is.
And the voice of reason a lot of times with Hollis, with Tatum, with Brooke,
Yeah, she's very practical. But then but then there's something with Tatum That's also really practical, with because there's also that part of Dru-Ann that does not necessarily deal with things emotional very well because she's so mental and practical and,
Right.
And then so she has to she learns that because in her life she can't hear. There's no time for that.
Right. Exactly. I know.
Yeah.
It's so oh my gosh, it's so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're moving on to our game. What's your 5-star weekend? Do not panic. It's multiple choice, and I'll answer as well.
Okay.
So question number 1, would you rather host your 5-star weekend on the beach, in the mountains, in a city, or at a lake house?
I think the beach.
I think me too, obviously. That's was a very easy question.
Yeah.
I'm doing the beach.
Yeah, I'm doing the beach.
Are you carving out time to work out? Because as we know in the show, she's on her exercise bike. Are you carving out time to work out, or are you skipping your exercise routine?
Oh, on the vacation?
Yeah, on your 5-star weekend.
I'm skipping it. I'm skipping it.
Okay, you're skipping it. I'm, of course, doing it because I'm weird.
I'm skipping it for that. It's because it's just a weekend, right?
Yeah, it's just the weekend. Okay, you're skipping. Okay.
Mm-hmm. But I'm going to do it a lot before.
Okay, gotcha.
I go.
And then catch up after.
And then catch up afterwards.
Are you pro or against naming the group chat?
I'm pro because I feel like there might be other group chats, and if I'm with my girls, I want to make sure I'm in the right group chat.
Okay, I don't blame you. I'm kind of against it, but actually, as I'm thinking about the practicality of texting the wrong people, we don't want that.
And I'm like you. The truth is, the bigger part of me is against it, but it's a girls' weekend, and I don't know what we could be discussing.
Exactly.
And I need to make sure that doesn't go into the wrong hands.
We are exactly on track with that. I totally agree. Hollis's fun surprise was an ice cream truck. What would your fun surprise for your 5-star weekend be?
Oh, that's so good. Gosh, because see, I'm selfish, so I think of me, which means it would be a French fry or a pizza truck.
Right.
But I don't know. I like a margarita, so I might have a margarita truck.
Oh my gosh, you're just like Dru-Ann because Dru-Ann loves tequila.
That's all I drink too.
Okay, well, this answers question 5, I think.
Oh.
It's fancy dinner out. What is your go-to drink at the restaurant versus the dive bar? Or do you do the same at both?
I'm doing the dive. I'm doing a margarita at a fancy restaurant and a dive bar, but I also might get a really, 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 really cold beer if I feel like they can't make it well or if they don't have the best ingredients.
Oh my gosh, you and I are exactly the same because I drink champagne or white wine at dinner, but when I go to the chicken box, I only drink Corona because the wine they have at the chicken box is not acceptable for me. So I drink a very cold Corona.
Yeah, me too, with a splash of lime.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Regina, for doing this, and I will see you soon.
Yes, I cannot wait. Thank you for having me.
That's it for this season. Remember, you can stream all episodes of the 5-Star Weekend now, only on Peacock. And you can also listen or watch every episode of this podcast right now. If you aren't watching us right now, check us out on Peacock and YouTube. I'm Elin Hilderbrand. Thanks for joining me on this incredible 5-Star Weekend. I couldn't imagine doing it with anyone else.